Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So while working on the universal web scraper that I have covered in my previous videos, a lot of you guys have been asking me about, can the AI scraper do the pagination? Can it basically do actions in order to log in or filter or do any other action before starting the scraping itself? And the answer to this is that it will take a lot of work in order to add this to the universal web scraper. Therefore, I wanted to talk about a tool that can already do the actions plus the AI scraping side that you are used to in the universal web scraper. So today we're going to talk about AgentQL, which is basically the tool that can not only get you the data by understanding the structure of the page, but also can do actions in order for you to be able to access this data. So we're going to start very simple, and then we're going to scrape Yellow Pages, which is one of the most scraped websites on the internet. This is not a sponsored video, guys. They were nice enough to offer the sponsorship, but since I don't take sponsorships for now, this is going to be a review. They're going to see this at the same time as you. So let's go ahead and jump to my screen. All right, so the first thing that we need to start with is to get the API key. So to do this, just go to agentql.com, click on Get API Key. You need to log in and then create a new API key and get that API key. After doing that, and to get a feel of how it works in the first place, just go to Chrome Store and look for AgentQL, and here you will find AgentQL and add it to your browser. So once you add it to your browser, and when you go to inspect elements, you're gonna find a new AgentQL added in here. Just make sure that you are basically gonna get it from here and move it just to put it in here so it's more clear. And now we can basically see how we can use it in order to detect different elements semantically in the screen. For example, if I want to find these three different elements, all I need to do is curly brackets, and then let's say find business text box, address text box, or just address, and then find button. Once we're going to click on fetch web elements, it's going to search in the screen and try to find the elements that I asked for semantically. So it's not going to use any type of XPath or anything. It's just going to go ahead and find the elements in a universal way. So as you can see here, find a business, address, and find. So it has been able to detect the different elements. Let's say, for example, we're going to look for dentists in Nashville, Tennessee. Let's go to find, and now what we want is to basically scrape the elements that we have here. So scrape this page, all of it, and see if it's going to be able to detect the data. So we're going to come back here, and the syntax this time is listing. And then we're going to open the curly brackets, and here inside of it, let's say we want business name, phone number, address, rating, etc., etc. So already for this, let's click on fetch data in order for it to go and locate all of the elements inside of the screen. And as you can see here, we will have all of these listings just from the query that we just gave. So this is, for example, the first one, this is their number, this is the address, and this is the rating, and this will work on all of them. So that's basically it. Only information that I can give you at this point is the fact that you can give even details about every specific element. Let's say, for example, we have ads in here and we don't want them. You can just basically inside of parentheses say don't include ads, and it's going to avoid including ads if we have any. So yeah, now we are good to go. We understand the syntax and we can fire up VS Code and start working. So let's go ahead and open it up. Let's create a new project, and inside of here, let's create our scraper.py. Now let's do our boilerplate. Let's create our virtual environment. While that is happening, let's create our .env file where we are going to put the AgentQL API key. So just make sure that you are going to copy it from the website. You're going to put it inside of here, and then let's go to script activate, and now let's pip install, first of all, AgentQL, then playwright and python.env if you don't have it already. Now we can start our coding. So here we are going to, first of all, import AgentQL from playwright.think API, import think playwright, then of course import OS, and then env import load.env. That's good. Now let's load.env so we can load our AgentQL API key. And here we will have a very important 3 lines of code. It's the most important lines of code that will repeat every time. So just make sure that you are writing them correctly. So with sync playwright as b chromium.launch, just make sure that it is going to be headless equal false as browser. And here we are going to initialize a playwright instance, and then we are going to launch a new browser with headless equal false. And once we do that, we're going to have a browser.new page, and then that new page should be wrapped inside AgentQL, meaning that we have to pass the browser inside of AgentQL in order to be able to basically use all of AgentQL functions inside of that playwright instance. So let's go ahead and give page equal to AgentQL dot wrap, which is the function responsible for this. And once we wrap the browser.new page, we basically can use any AgentQL function inside of this page, which means that we are going to be able to fetch data, scrape data, and query elements using AgentQL capabilities. And the third line of code that is important is page go to. We basically gonna go to the URL where we are going to do either the actions or scrape the data. So let's start by something very simple. It starts by taking this whole URL, let's paste it in here. And then once we do that, we are going to define our query, and our query will be this, what we have already created. So we're gonna put it in here. And once we do that, we are going to get a response. Let's go ahead and query our page, query data using query. And here, let's print the response, which should be a JSON. So let's go ahead and run this. It's gonna go ahead and open the website. It's gonna start scraping the data, and then it should basically give me the data in here. And as you can see, it has been able to scrape everything and give it to me in here. So already fascinating, just in a couple of lines of code, we have been able to scrape this. And if we change the website and we have the same elements that we want to scrape, this will not change. So it is a universal scraper in its own right. So already very good. This is 25 lines of code. We already have a scraper ready to go. So let's go ahead and add the second part where we are going to automate the action before going and scraping the data. Okay, so now what we want to do is to basically navigate to yellow pages, the front page, and then fill the data inside of here, then the location, and then we click on find. And after that, we want to go page by page and scrape all the data that we have in every page. So to be able to do this, first of all, let's comment this out. We're not going to need it for the moment. And here we're going to go to yellow pages. So we don't need that anymore. And we want to, first of all, be able to detect these two text boxes and this button that we have here. We need to use a function called query elements. And this function basically returns all the elements, and then we can start interacting with them. So the function query elements itself does not do anything, but it returns the elements from a certain query. So we have our multi-line string, and here we want to enter data inside of this banner inside of here. So as always, it should be inside of a curly bracket. We're going to say we have a banner, and then inside of this banner, we are going to have three elements. We just define them: business, the first one. The second one is address. And then the third one is the find button. And now we want to be able to fill the data inside of them and then click on find. Of course, we're going to put that inside of a variable. Let's call it search filters, for example. And here we are going to use that search filters dot banner dot business. So basically this will become an object. Then we can access the object elements inside of here, and it's going to recognize it once we run the process. So here we are going to use the function fill. And inside of this function fill, we are going to write, let's say, dentist. We're going to use the same thing. So instead of business, we are going to use address. And then finally, we are going to click on find button. So here, let's say we are going to fill, let's say, Chicago, Illinois. And inside of here, the find button, of course, is going to be a click. It's not going to be a fill. And here, of course, this should be banner like this. So let's run our scraper. And here, as you can see, it has been able to write, and it did click on find. Let's add a page that waits for timeout just so that we can actually see what's going on at the end. So now after we have been able to do that, we want to scrape the page, go to the next page, scrape the next page, etc., etc. So this is what we should be doing. So let's say, for example, we only want to scrape the first 3 pages. We don't want to run this scraper forever. So let's have a for e in range. And then inside of here, I want to basically be able to find this next page button and be able to click on it. So the first thing that we want to start with is find the next page button. And to be able to do this, we are going to use page.query element, and we want to find the next page element. So we're just going to call it next page button. Of course, if it doesn't work, we're going to come back to that and we're going to give more details. But for now, we just call it next page button. And of course, this is going to be inside of an object. Let's call it next page. After doing that, we're going to uncomment this. And then we are going to click on the next page button. And let's just add in a page that waits for timeout of 2 seconds just to make sure that the website is not going to block us because we are going too fast and it's going to suspect that we are a robot. So this is very good. Let's just add a little bit more representable data just so that it's easier for us to visualize it. So here, let's say print, and inside of here, let's call it page. And then here we will have e+1, and let's add our f prefix. So now let's run our Python scraper.py, and let's write everything in an output.txt for better visualization. So let's run it. So dentist, Chicago, it has been able to go to the first page. Let's see if it's going to be able to scrape the data and then navigate to the second page. So it has been able to go to the second page. So the next button is working. I see that this is not loading. Okay, so this is just a problem in the website itself, not in the scraper. Good. So now it's in the third page. From here, it should be able to scrape everything. Actually, come to think about it, the weight that I've added is not necessary because the time to scrape the data is actually enough for it to load everything. So the time that I've added in order to scrape the data is not necessary. So it has finished. Let's go to output.txt and let's see if it has been able to scrape the data. And as you can see here, this is what it has been able to scrape. It has been able to scrape all the data, and you're going to find here everything that you have asked for. And that's already a very good scraper that we have created in 50 lines. If there is any other website that is similar to this one, all you need to do is to basically change the URL in here, and this script will still work for all of the other websites. If you want to make it really customizable to that website, you just need to come here and change the queries a little bit. Also, if there's any type of login, you can absolutely do that. I think this is the closest we are to an actual working library that can do the things that everyone else was pretending to do. But yeah, I mean, from my experience with it, it's actually very good. So yeah, that has been me, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.